Good morning to you. You live in a shoe. How are you guys doing? It is 1:18 a.m. and I did absolutely nothing today, and it was fantastic. Got up today, went to brunch with my husband, and it was packed at brunch today. We had a nice brunch, and it was really cold in Indianapolis today. It's 31 degrees right now, and then like windy and cold. And then we came home, and I kind of decided that I wasn't going to make any videos today. I was like, I think I'm just going to relax today. I've made a lot of videos this week, like the video on my review channel every day, and I just bought my review video for my review products for tomorrow. Sunny had actually recommended that I do this, but there's two new kinds of M&Ms. There's a couple new kinds of M&Ms, but I just bought those two. One's like jalapeno, and the other one is like coconut something. So I'm going to review those tomorrow on my review channel. I also have my training tomorrow. And yeah, that's the review videos I'm going to do. But I didn't want to make any videos today. I just wanted to relax. And so I came home and I laid down for several hours. It was really nice. Alex watched TV on the computer in the bed. And I just hung out with him and the dogs. And I took like a 3-hour nap, and it was fantastic. And then we got up and we ordered pizza, and we watched a couple episodes of Project Runway because we had to catch up. And then I was like just looking at stuff online, shopping online. There's these like Comme des Garçons t-shirts that I want, the ones that have the heart on it, but they're like $100, and I just cannot justify. There's like fakes out there, but I don't know how I feel about buying a fake. Something like whatever. But I'm gonna look and see if I can find them on sale, because it said something like on sale in store. So you can get them at Nordstrom. I'm gonna go to Nordstrom and see if they have any on sale. But I just think that's a lot of money to be buying, you know, for a t-shirt. But they're cute. So yeah, I looked at that. Was looking at that online and just some other stuff. And watched a couple booktube videos. I am obsessed. You guys, I found this new booktuber. Well, he's not new. He's been around for a year. But I was looking up booktube newbie tag, and I don't know why, but his like came up in there. It was reacting to his booktube newbie tag, and it was his 1-year anniversary, which was in February. And it was like his 27th birthday, but it was also like his 1-year anniversary on BookTube. And his name is Spencer, but his channel name is Common Spence. I will link it below if I remember. Like Common Sense, Common Spence. I think if you watch his videos and you watch my drama videos, you'll understand. I mean, we have, I think, to some degree, very similar personalities, and I just love him. Like, he is just so unapologetically himself, but yet he's so passionate about books. And so I watched that, and then and that video is hilarious. His video, that'll probably be the video that I link, which is his 1-year anniversary, and it's like him watching back his first video that he ever did. It's just absolutely hilarious. But then I watched his video of like his 10 best books of 2018, and there were several books on there that were also like books that I loved and books that I wanted to read. Like, I really wanted to read that. I've heard so much about that book, The 7 Wives of Evelyn Hugo, or 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, or whatever it's called. It's supposed to be fantastic. And he talked about that. A couple different booktubers have been talking about that recently. It was in like their top 10 of 2018. I really want to read that book. I heard it was great. And he had read Sadie. I think that was like his number 10 book. And he even said in there that he listened to it on Audible. If you're going to listen to it, you should listen to it on Audible. And I was like, oh my God, we both said the exact same thing. So I was like, obviously we have the same interest in books. So I was like writing down books that he liked, and I love finding, but even if you're not into BookTube and you don't really care about books, I think you would love his channel because his personality is just so exuberant, and he's fantastic. He just is so fantastic and just really unapologetically himself. And so, like I said, I'll link his channel below and you guys can go check him out. I'm actually gonna like cut my vlog in half tonight. I'm gonna vlog for a little bit and then I'm gonna go listen to my audiobook because I need to get this book done for the book club because it's next Sunday at 4 p.m. I was like, why do I feel like next Sunday is we have something to do, but it's next Saturday. We're taking the dogs to the vet to get their shots. This water tastes so good. I haven't had pizza in so long, and the pizza made me like so dehydrated. We also got a 2-liter of Pepsi. Alex likes Pepsi. I'm not a big Pepsi fan. I mean, I'll drink it, but I don't love it. Usually if I drink like a Pepsi product, I usually drink Dr. Pepper. Isn't that a Pepsi product? But he, or is it Mr. Pibb? I don't know. Whichever one is a Pepsi product. But he likes to get Pepsi when we get pizza from Papa John's. He was like, do you want to get Papa John's or do you want to get Pizza Hut? And quite frankly, as far as the pizza goes, I prefer Pizza Hut, but I like the sauces at Papa John's. And Alex likes to dip his sauce in marinara, and I went and picked up the pizza, and we had like gotten all these extra sauces. And I had like looked through the top 2 boxes, and the sauces were like, most of the sauces were in there, so I just assumed that in the 3rd box it would be there too. I didn't look at all 3. And I got it home, and his marinara wasn't in there. I was like, do you want me to go? I'll go back. He was like, no. And usually I have spaghetti sauce in the refrigerator, but we're completely out right now. So I felt kind of bad because he didn't have any marinara. So I gave him all the extra cheese. The Papa John's cheese and garlic sauce. I know some people think it's disgusting, but I love it. But I love Pizza Hut pizza. All the Pizza Huts around us like closed. I don't even know where the closest Pizza Hut is. I mean, I think it's like at the mall that's near us, but I don't even know like their hours or anything. There used to be one right around the corner from us. So anyway, we did that. We watched Project Runway All-Stars. I don't know why they did this, but there's a Project Runway All-Stars going on at the same time that the new Project Runway started. If you watch Project Runway All-Stars, I want to know if anybody else out there, I do not love Alyssa Milano as the host of that show. She kind of gets on my nerves. I don't even know why she gets on my nerves. I don't even know. I can't even explain it, but she just does. I'm like, she drives me crazy. I just don't feel like I think of Alyssa Milano and fashion like in the same sense. Apparently she has her own clothing line, Alex said, or something. I mean, this is like my 3rd season watching it. This year it's interesting on the Project Runway All-Stars because it's all like the winners, and they have winners from around the country or from around the world and stuff. One of my favorites got eliminated in the last episode that we watched. I think we have one more episode to catch up on. So I was kind of disappointed about that. But I was happy with RuPaul's Drag Race this week, so can't win them all. We leave for vacation in a few weeks. I'm like so excited. I'm so ready. I actually need to call Melissa, and we need to kind of coordinate things as far as like flying out and stuff, and if we're going to drive to the airport together, because they're going to Florida with us, but they're not going to Mexico. So they're like flying back the day that we fly to Mexico. So they'll probably want to have a car at the airport unless they want to take an Uber home, and then we could drive to the airport, so we'd have a car there. It's like we live a really far away from the airport. We're like 40 minutes from the airport, 30 or 40 minutes. And so to take an Uber is really long, and I just don't love it. I don't mind it so much going to the airport. I don't love it coming home, because I just want to kind of get home, you know what I mean? And be like, getting in my car makes me feel like I'm home. So I know that sounds stupid, but it just kind of makes me feel like I'm at home. So I like to have the car there. I've got so much stuff I've got to do before I leave. Oh my God, I've got so many things I've got to do. I'm excited though. I love to go on vacation. I'm getting better about it, like, as far as, like, do you guys make lists of stuff you have to do before you go? Do you go on vacation a lot? Like, since we've been traveling more, and especially, like, going on the trips to LA and, like, turning around and coming right back to LA, that was good for me because, like, I kind of knew what I needed to do as far as, like, you know, getting everything in order to go on vacation. Like, I'm kind of the one that manages all that stuff, so. But Alex took the day off before we leave for vacation this year, so that'll be nice, so he can help with some stuff. But just like getting dog food, you know, for the kennel, and making sure we have all PB's medication and my medication for my epilepsy, and you know, I looked over and my camera was completely blurry, so and I don't know when it started. So anyway, I was just talking about stuff that I have to get done for our trip, getting PP's medication and getting my medication for my epilepsy medicine, and that was kind of a redundant statement, wasn't it? I think Alex's mom is going to stay at our house this time. Yeah, so I just have to get a bunch of stuff done. And then, of course, like, packing, you know, like, I always wait till the last minute to pack. And then it's, you know, 2 o'clock the night that we're leaving the next morning. And I'm like, oh, I forgot this. And I have to run out and get that. And, like, just now, I just remembered, like, I have to go get contacts before I leave. And I don't. Like, I mean, so I have to make a list of all this stuff. Do you guys do that? Like, make this huge long list before you leave of all the stuff that you have to do. But I'm excited. So I'm more excited about the trip than I am about the problems about going on the trip, you know? Lip balm. I also need to talk to Tanya because I want to get my feet done before I go on vacation. We usually do that together. You guys get pedicures. I think it's one of the most relaxing things in the entire world. I love it. Oh, my nose from trimming my beard is driving me nuts. I trimmed it like really short, like close. That new trimmer that I got is so fantastic. So yeah, I'm like really thick into this book that I'm reading for the book club. I just wish we had picked a different, I mean, it's good, but I just wish we had picked a different book. Like, I find myself kind of at times, you know, getting just, I don't know, a little bored with it. I'm like sitting there listening to it and I'm like, it's just not a true crime book. And she just goes into all of this detail about her life that I'm quite frankly surprised that Mel really liked it, because there's just some parts of it that I'm like literally like, I'm so like, I could just care less. Like, just get to the point, gal, is kind of how I feel about it. it's almost like she just wanted to remember her life and like all the good things about her dad, and so that's what the book is about. And it's like it's a lot of like really good memories about her dad, who was a serial killer, but at the same time he's like one of the angriest people in the entire world. And so it's like, it seems like she makes a lot of excuses for him being so angry. Oh, but that's just how dad was, and you had to keep him under wraps, or he, you know, would blow his top off. And I mean, and some of it is pretty severe anger issues. You know, I'm like sitting there listening to it, and I'm like, so I don't know. It's kind of a bizarre book to read. And maybe by the end she has like some realization about all of it, but I'm not at that part yet, so I don't know. You know, I think it's interesting when you look at like relationships you've had with people in your life, and like how you feel about them at the time. And like Tanya and I used to have I don't think I've ever talked about this girl on here before, but Tanya and I used to have a friend of ours that we were really close with. And she kind of really screwed Tanya over. And then she kind of just exited both of our lives. Like, she was just gone. And now she's like married and has like, you know, children and stuff. And I haven't talked to her in forever. But I'm still friends with her, you know, on Facebook and stuff. And I was like seeing this picture of her and her kids. And so I was like showing it to Alex, because Alex was friends with her. Alex knew her, you know, through us and stuff. And Alex was like, she used to date one of our friends. So we, like, when we all traveled together and stuff, she would, like, you know, be on some of those trips. And so that's how Alex knew her, and just from like hanging out and stuff. And like Alex is so protective of Tanya, like, and me and stuff, you know. And so I said, oh, did you see, like, he goes, I'm not friends with her on Facebook anymore. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm not friends with her on Facebook anymore. Like, she's not in my life. And I was like, oh. And I was like, but isn't her, you know, aren't her kids cute and whatever? And he was like, yeah, I guess. And I was like, oh, well, she and Tanya talk like every once in a while. And he was like, Tanya talks to her? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, but she did like Tanya really like dirty. And this wasn't like long ago. Like, this wasn't like 8 years ago. I mean, this was in the last few years. And I was like, I know. And he was like, do you talk to her? And I go, no. And I think the thing is, for Alex, like, he had no real issues with her at all, except for that he was protective of, like, Tanya, A, because Tanya was the one that was hurt the most by it, but B, me, because I was kind of like, you know, by association. And like, I mean, I was kind of I was better friends with her than, you know, obviously that Alex was. And he goes, well, did they ever have a conversation? Like, did she ever explain why she did what she did? And I go, yeah. I said, I think so. I said, like, you know, because like her and Tanya didn't talk for like a long time. And I said, I think when they first like got back together and like had dinner or something, they like talked, and he goes, so she explained to Tanya why. And I go, I don't know, Alex. I said, like, you know, and he goes, I just think that, you know, that's to do some really hurtful stuff like that is, you know. And what's funny is I look back on that, and like at the time that it happened, I just was like, I'm really protective of Tanya too. And I can remember like when she started talking to her again, I kind of was like, I don't really understand this. You know, Tanya's like, well, I don't want to stay angry and resentful forever. And I don't either. But I also know that she's guarded about friendships in her life as a result of this happening, you know. And as I think I am too. And it's interesting, like, looking back on relationships in your life, you know, like this is one of the things I said to Mel when we were talking about like the dad being really angry, the serial killer guy, and she's like, yeah, but hindsight's 20/20, don't you think? Because I was saying like the wife had like no clue that he was a serial killer, even though they were playing like his voice on the news, and she had like read the letters and found this poem that he had written about this girl that he had killed, and she's like, well, maybe at the time, you know, but like hindsight's 20/20, you know. It's like, hindsight is 20/20, and I think that's the hard thing sometimes when you've gone through hurtful situations and people have hurt you. It's like hindsight is 20/20, and so then what you realize is, I don't want this to happen again. Like, I don't want to get hurt again, right? And you get hurt by enough people that I think at some point you just start closing off and saying, like, then it's people. I just don't want to have relationships with people anymore because I don't want to be hurt. But, like, that's not super healthy either, because then you just don't have any relationships in your life whatsoever, right? And, like, who wants to have no relationships? Who wants to have no people in their life? I don't. I mean, I want to have people in my life, you know? And if that means that I have to open up and kind of trust some people, then I guess that's what I have to do. But at the same time, it's scary, isn't it? Because, you know, like, you don't know that you're not going to get hurt again like what happened before. If Tanya was sitting here, she'd say, well, we're not friends like we were back then at all. You know, like, I talk to her from time to time, but it's not like we're close friends at all. And, but isn't that sad too, you know? I don't know. I've been done so wrong by some people, and there's been absolutely no accountability or ownership on their part whatsoever, you know, and like none whatsoever. And what I've realized is that at the end, it's really not about that anyway. You know, and that's where I've tried to like when I was talking on here the other day about, like, I try to leave relationships and see the positive out of it. But I think sometimes it's hard because it has a lot to do with how that friendship, relationship, coworker, whatever, how it ended, you know, like, if it ended civilly, okay, that's fine. But if it ended, like, horribly, like, it's hard. And then on top of that, to have there be no accountability from the other person is, like, is that justifiable anger, you know? But I think at the same time, what I've realized is that has really nothing to do with me. None whatsoever. And all I can do is look at, you know, maybe how I wasn't the best boyfriend or friend or coworker, and what can I do in the future to be better in those, you know, situations, and what makes me a better, you know, like, how can I be better interacting with people? Because I don't want to stay stuck in what people did to me. And that's something that I have learned from Tanya, you know? I would say Tanya is very forgiving, because I think she realizes that forgiveness is about her, not other people. She's extremely forgiving. But Tanya's not somebody that forgets. Like, we were talking about this. When were we talking about this? Oh, I was telling her about the conversation. This was this afternoon. I was telling her about the conversation I had with Alex, and she started laughing. She's like, yeah, I think we let people walk all over us sometimes. And I was like, yeah, I think there's some truth to that. And she said, well, I guess I would rather have been walked all over and had the relationship and have to walk away with my tail between my legs than never have had the relationship at all. And I think that's true, you know, like, when I look at, like, failed friendships or relationships that have gone sour, if my options were to have never have met that person or interacted with that person at all, or to have to deal with it going south, which, I mean, there are some that it's, like, really tough, right? But I think at the same time, of course I'm happy that I had the relationship, you know? It's like the saying, I would have loved and lost and never to have loved at all. I mean, I agree with that statement, you know? I really do. But it's hard to get behind that statement, I think. I don't know. What do you guys think? I am, like, really far out. I've, like, gone farther out on this road than I have ever gone before, and it's kind of scary, honestly. It's like woods and a field right next to me on my right. And then, like, a house, like, every 2 miles, there's one. Well, I guess not every 2 miles. There's one way back. But they're all, like, these, like, kind of scary farmhouses. I'm going to turn around. I don't like, you know, this far out here. Is this even a road? Oh, it's like a road driveway. I can't turn around there. like parking next to like a pole barn in the middle of nowhere. I have absolutely no idea where I am. And there's like no roads to turn around on either. Like usually it's like 100, 110, 120, you know what I mean? But it's just not. Okay, here's a road I can turn around on. Is that even a road? What is this? I can't even tell if it's a road or not. Oh, it's like a grassy road. I can tell you that nobody is awake way out here. I think you have to take the things that you learn from the relationships you've had, you know, and, you know, like, I think even in, like, a passing, like, with my mom or my aunt and my uncle recently, you know, and say, like, okay, what is something that I can learn from their life? Either by how they lived their life or things they didn't do because of how they lived their life. So like with my mom, you know, my mom was a hugger. She was a lover. She was somebody that was a dreamer. She stood by her convictions. She believed in focusing on the small details in life. She believed in love and compassion and kindness. And those are like the things I think I can take from her. But one of the most powerful things I got from my mom was the fact that she lived from such a point of fear that a lot of the things that she wanted to do in her life, she never did. She never accomplished because she was terrified, right? So for me, I look at that and I think, okay, well, there's a lot of things I want to do that I want to try. And I'm not going to let fear stand in the way of that. I have never heard of this town that I am driving through right now. This is crazy. This little small town I've never heard of before. And, you know, like with my aunt was such a genuinely good person that so much of her life was about buying presents for other people, hosting dinner parties and, you know, afternoon lunches and teas for people. She literally lived to make other people happy. I mean, she really, really did, you know? And, she loved nothing more than like putting on a great dinner party, or, you know, she would really think out presents for people, and it wasn't about the buying or the doing, it was about just making people happy. She just loved to make people happy. And I think about that, you know, that like she just was so, like she would say, like, the last probably 10 years of her life, I don't even like to get Christmas presents, I just like to give Christmas presents, don't buy me anything. And she really didn't like to receive Christmas presents. It almost kind of made her uncomfortable, or birthday presents or anything, you know? And I think the other thing about my aunt was that she was an extremely hard worker. She liked very nice things. You know, she had some of the best style of anybody that I've ever known in my entire life. I'm not just talking about like labels of things, but she knew style, like she knew clothes. My mom did too, but like they had very different styles. My aunt really, really knew, and had some very nice clothes. And it was funny because this coat of my aunt's, I had given a bunch of clothes to Alex's mom and his grandma of my mom's, because Caroline had all this stuff like, you know, like dry clean, and she had these coats and stuff that, I mean, it was in almost perfect condition. So she was like, do you want to give these to Alex's mom and grandma? I was like, yeah, sure. So I took it over there, and her grandma, Alex's grandma, was like in this like coat that my aunt had. It's just like, I looked at her the other day and I was like, oh my God, I forgot that was like my aunt's coat that she used to wear. Like, not all the time, but she would wear it, you know. But my aunt never was embarrassed by having nice things. She'd say, you know, if you work hard enough in life, you can have what you want to have, but you know, you have to work hard for it. Like, you know, but she also didn't believe that those things made you who you were. She didn't believe that they defined who you were. She just liked to have nice things, you know, and I think a lot of that from my aunt came from them coming from such like horrifically poor background. And my aunt was such a hard worker her entire life. And then my uncle, you know, I don't know, my aunt was just such a good person. And I love that she always put everybody else ahead of what she wanted or she needed. And I think that I've learned that from her, you know. I try to do that in my life, to be more selfless. And then my uncle is actually somebody that I learned to be a little bit more selfish from in life. And I wouldn't say that he was selfish in a horrible way. It's so funny because when I said that, I almost kind of heard him go, because my uncle would have laughed at that statement if he was sitting here. But it's like, you know, like, he wasn't selfish, like, in a greedy kind of way. None whatsoever. He was a pretty simple man. But, like, he loved to read, and he loved to watch movies, and he loved to nap. Those were, like, his three favorite things. And I don't think he could have put them in an order. He loved them equally, you know? So you would be over there in the middle of a holiday, and he would either just, like, go in the other room and break out a paperback. Like, he loved to read mystery and thriller paperbacks, like the Jason Bourne series, and, you know what I mean? Like, all of that. He just loved mysteries and thrillers, and he constantly read. Constantly read. And, who's the guy? Why can't I think of his name? Michael Connelly? He loved him. He read, like, every book by him, about that Harry Bosch, that detective. So you just, like, he'd go in the other room and just start reading. I mean, there'd be 20 people there. Or he would go in, he'd go, I'm taking a nap, and he'd go in there and he'd turn on his fan. I got the fan thing partly from him, but partly from my aunt and uncle on the farm. But he would just turn on his fan and take a nap, you know, with the dog in the middle of the afternoon. And then, or he'd just go to a movie. Like he would leave, and I'd be like, where'd Uncle Dave go? And he went to go see a movie. He took David. They went to go see a movie. But he always did that, even before David was around. You know, he would just, like, whenever I would see him, I'd say, have you seen any good movies, Uncle Dave? He'd say, I've seen everything that's out. And I'm like, you've seen everything? Yeah, I've seen everything that's out. He would go to movies during the day. Like, he retired early. My uncle worked for, like, this car manufacturing company, and he was, like, administrative. And so they did this thing where they, like, retired people early, and he got, like, a great settlement package for it. So he retired early, and then he became an appraiser, appraising houses. And so he did that, like, part-time, but very part-time, because he didn't really have to, because I think he, like, his severance package was something crazy. Like, he got paid, like, 75% of what he was making before for, like, 10 years, and then it was, like, and he retired at, like, 50, so he got, like, almost full retirement at, like, it was just crazy, with healthcare benefits for the rest of his life, and all kinds of things. And, so he would just go to movies in the middle of the afternoon. He loved it. My mom and him would, like, walk. They walked a lot, and you know, my uncle was a long-term heart patient. He had his first massive heart attack the 2 weeks before Caroline got married, and Caroline got married 6 months after I got sober. Well, that's that June. I think our anniversary is like the 16th or the 17th. So of 95. Because my mom had been sober like 2 weeks at the time, because her sobriety birthday was June 2nd. And he and my mom would walk a lot, and he went to movies, and he just was, and I liked that, you know, that he was kind of selfish with his time. Like, if somebody needed something from him, of course he would be there for him in a heartbeat. He was always the person that was at the hospital visiting people, and whatever you asked him to do, he'd do it. And he ran errands for my aunt constantly, and, you know, stuff like that. But If he wanted to take a nap, he was going to take a nap. And if he wanted to read a book, he was going to read a book. And he paced himself. And I remember my dad one time saying, I said something to him about, like, my uncle, there was like, at the end, was literally in the hospital, like, once a month. He had so many different heart surgeries through the years. And I said something to my dad. I said, Dad, why do you think, because, my dad's a surgeon. So I said, why do you think Uncle Dave, he and my uncle were very close. And I said, why, it stopped. I'm not going to get into the last time they met. I've told that story on here before, and every time I tell that story, I just start bawling my eyes out. But I said, why do you think that Uncle Dave has done so well through the years? And he said, your Uncle Dave does so well because he is like, he naps all the time, he reads, he's slowed his life down, He doesn't stress himself out anymore. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. That's that peace of mind that I'm talking about, that I yearn for, that I don't want to, like, be so stressed out all the time by stuff, It's like, by unnecessary stuff. By the way, if you guys have made it this far, could you like this video? I would really appreciate it, please. I'm going to start mentioning that in every video. Could you just give a big thumbs up for this video? I would really appreciate it. But I think that's a really valuable lesson, to slow your life down, prioritize those things that are important to you. Those things for me are my family, my dogs, by family I mean my husband and my dogs, but I also mean my extended family, my dad, my stepmom, and, Alex's family, and Caroline, and Tanya, I consider her family, and Eric, her husband, and my other close friends. And I think it's, doing more of what you love and slowing things down. And like, today was really good for me. The thing is that, like, do you ever, there's something that you love to do, and so you do it, but at the same time, you almost become kind of manic with it. So, like, on a day that I'm going to make, like, 5 or 6 videos, right? Like, Friday night, I think I made, like, on Friday afternoon, night, I made, like, 6 videos total. But the problem is that I almost become kind of manic with it. It's like, film a video, like, think about what I'm going to film the video about, film the video, upload it, or get it on the computer, render it, edit it, which is like cut the parts off, or, throw up a screenshot of something that I have to, then render that while I'm thinking about making the next video, and then filming it, and then rendering it, and then uploading the one that I finished rendering. So I'm waiting for it to upload on YouTube. And then, like, sometimes I watch my videos back, sometimes I don't. But it becomes very manic, almost kind of like this machine. The thing is that I love it so much, right? So it's like, it could be like anything. If you love, like, knitting, you go to the store, you buy your favorite yarn, you're almost kind of like, in the zone, or if you're scrapbooking or cooking or anything, it's like, you just get so focused on it. But the more focus that you get on it, it's like everything around you kind of goes away. It's like 6 months ago to a year ago, like, things were like when I started YouTube, maybe more like 2 years ago, I would light candles, I would have candle waxes going throughout the day, I would have my coffee, or, a pot of coffee going, and I kind of just took my time, and I filmed throughout the whole day. I didn't also have 5 channels at that time, but, the thing is that over time I've realized that I need to kind of slow down a little bit, and I just realized a couple weeks ago, it's like, I haven't been lighting the candle waxes and candles as much as I used to. Like, I either, like, am focused and making videos or not. And so, like, the last couple weeks I've been, like, taking time, picking out a specific candle wax that I want to smell for the day while I'm making videos, all that stuff, because I think that's important. I think it's important to enjoy the process of what you're doing, It's like, if you are knitting, well, what movie are you watching while you're knitting, or what music are you listening to? Like, that's as important of a piece as the rest of it, I think. And I also think that it's whatever you're doing in life, enjoying, and doing your best at. But not allowing your passion to overtake and stress you out, like, we shouldn't be doing that. Like, if what we're doing for a hobby or because it's something that we're passionate about, you know, even if it's something that you financially benefit off of or whatever, you should still enjoy it, you know? I can't remember who it was. I wish I could remember. That sent me all this stuff. Now she was from. I remember she was from Batesville, Indiana, and because it's where the coffin company is. And she sent me a box of like all of this fantastic stuff. It was like candle waxes and like this leather keychain of the state of Indiana and all this kind of stuff. And she's a photographer too, and I could just tell by like everything that she did, the attention to detail of how she put all this together. I was like, she really is passionate about what she does. You know, but you could tell it wasn't rushed. You could tell that it was something that she really enjoyed doing, and that there was time and, you know, thought put into it and all that stuff, because it wasn't rushed at all. And I don't know. I don't want to do anything rushed. I want to do something because I enjoy it. I want my life to be paced and taken slowly, and I want to enjoy it. Enjoy the process and have peace of mind. And you know, there's this long part of this book, I mean, and it is a long part of the book that I'm listening to, where she and her dad and her cousin, they go hiking through the Grand Canyon, and her brother gets sick, and like that all turns into this whole misery part of the book. But anyway, like, she's going through the Grand Canyon, but they're just miserable the whole time. Like, absolutely miserable the whole time. And I'm sitting there, like, listening to this, and I'm thinking to myself, why are you guys doing this? Like, why are you even, just to say you did it? Like, is that what this is about? Like, just to say, okay, I hiked the Grand Canyon. Like, I don't understand it. Like, they're so miserable the whole time that they're doing it. She's about to pass out and faint every 2 seconds. And, you know, her dad's being frustrated with her. And she's always wanting to stop and eat and drink water. And they're all the time wanting to sleep because they're tired and their packs are too heavy. And I'm like, why did you even do this? Like, I don't understand it. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. If you're going to do something in life for enjoyment, do it and enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, why are you doing it? I have so many friends of mine that, like, sit on, you know, not close friends of mine, I won't say, like, but people that I know that, like, sit on boards and, you know, do all this work, and not like work, but volunteer work. And then they have like Melissa is somebody that's such a good example of this. Like, she does so much volunteer work and she just loves it. Like, she's always talking about it. Oh, this was great, and this was great, and that was great, and this was great, right? But I know so many friends of mine that, like, do volunteer work or sit on boards, or, you know, they're part of like some kind of group or whatever, and they're always like, oh, I have to go to this group, I have to go to that group, and they're always complaining about it. I'm like, why are you doing it then if you don't want to do it, you know? Life is too short. Like, we have to work to pay bills, right? But other than that, like, let's not, if you don't have the luxury of doing something that you love to pay the bills, then please don't spend the rest of your life doing something that you don't want to just because you feel obligated to do it. You know what I mean? Or at least we should readjust our attitude, maybe, so that, I mean, hey, I've been there too, where I've done stuff that I didn't want to do, and I don't do that anymore in my life, you know? I have no idea how long I've been vlogging, but I'm going to listen to my audiobook for, I don't know, like a half an hour or so, and then I will come on here and I will finish this late Sunday night vlog. Let me get my radio voice on. Anyway, okay, I'll be back in just a little bit. I love you guys. All right, I am headed home. Been listening to my audiobook for a while. Driving down the country roads, listening to this super scary book about the daughter of a serial killer. It's not scary at all. It's not. It's like, there's nothing scary about it. She's cheesy, kind of. I mean, it's her story of her life. Some of it is very endearing, and other parts of it are just kind of like corny. It's like, I don't know, if I was like writing about like my childhood, and I was like, mom Mom made a big bowl of creamed corn, and I got a big heaping spoonful of it, and then I buttered my toast. Isn't that delicious? I didn't know at the time that my dad had killed 10 people, but I loved him nonetheless. I mean, it's just weird. It's just kind of, I don't know. I'm ready to get to the part where she kind of has this awareness of, I don't know. It's kind of offsetting. It's kind of offsetting when you know the story, you know what I mean? And I've read enough about it now in articles that I'm kind of like, it's totally not what I thought it would be. I thought it would be like, from the point of, she spends so much time in her like youth and like, I don't know, just her childhood and college and stuff like that, and her family life, which is fine. I think she's trying to show that, you know, she never had any idea that that's who her dad was, even though he's like super, super angry all the time. But I thought it would be more about like, from the point that she found out that her dad was a serial killer and how they like got through it. And I don't know, maybe, and her, maybe that will be part of it later. I'm just not there yet. So we'll see. The weird thing is she does kind of have some awareness through it. Like, when, like, before, like, the part where she finds out that a family member has passed away, and in this, like, tragedy, and her dad is, like, real upset about it. And then she's like, I think I said something about this on here the other night, but she says something like, the thing is, if I have my heat on me, it's 27 degrees now. If I have my heat on me, then it gets, like, really hot. If I have it on the windshield, it like gets cold in here quick. But she does say something about, like, you know, she later has a hard time fitting together. Like, it's a lot about her trying to figure out, like, she has a hard time understanding how her dad could take all these people's lives and affect their families, and yet he's so upset about this, like, family member they're dying. But I think that he would have had to compartmentalize all of it or something. I mean, he was a serial killer. Do you guys know, okay, so I was, like, doing some research on him because of, so he lived in Wichita, Kansas, and so the time when he did these murders was before they had capital punishment. He, like, did them, he, like, even though he got caught after the law had changed, when he killed these people was before criminal punishment, or capital punishment was in Kansas. So he is, like, he has some ridiculous amount of life sentences without parole in prison, and he's in solitary confinement. And like, they took away, like, the families of the victims petitioned for him not to be able to write letters. Well, he lost that right because it didn't say in the article that I was reading, like, who he wrote to, but he, like, violated something in this letter that he wrote he wasn't supposed to write. I don't know what he put in the letter, but maybe somebody knows. So if you know, leave it in the comment section below. But so he's not allowed to have any written material, any writing. He's not allowed to write. He's not allowed to do any art or anything like that. But he is allowed to watch TV, and the families are trying to have that right taken away from him, which I don't think he deserves to. I mean, if he's going to be alive for the rest of his life in prison, I don't think he deserves to have any reading and writing and all that. But can you imagine, like, literally solitary confinement for the rest of your life, like, in a room? I mean, that would give you a lot of time to think about what you had done, which is, I think, what the goal of the families is. And they also are like, you know, our family members don't have anybody, like, they don't have the option to watch TV. They don't have the option to read. They don't have the option to write family members letters. And so he shouldn't either. And I agree with that. I thought for sure when I looked up, like, information on him, they would have said that he had been executed already or was, like, up for execution. I had no idea that he would still be alive. A couple people commented on my the one vlog that said some things about him, like, and that got me, like, looking into articles and stuff. I guess that's the other thing is, like, and maybe this is at the end of the book too, like, more when she finds out, like, that he was, you know, killed all these people, but she doesn't really talk much about, like, what he did or, like, how it affected her. That, I mean, it wasn't just that he killed these people. I mean, it was like he tortured them. Like, I mean, it's bad enough that he killed somebody, but my God, you know, like, I'd be interested to know, like, well, and I'm sure I'll find this out from the book, like, what her thoughts are about him today. It just is so bizarre. It's so, I don't know, like, it's going to be an interesting live stream. I want to hear what people have to say about it. Like, I'm interested in her story, but her attitude is kind of off-putting for me, honestly. And I know that it's about, like, I guess what's interesting to me is that, like, a lot of her spiritual religious beliefs come from her father, because he's the one that, like, took her to church every Sunday, and he was, like, worked in the church and all this kind of stuff. And you would think that that would push her away from any kind of belief system, which, like, as the book's going, like, she's already talking about, like, things that push her away. And, like, I don't know. I'll have to read the book in its entirety to know, but it's bizarre. It's kind of a bizarre telling. I don't know. I need to talk to Mel about the Sue Klebold book, because when I watched the TED Talks from that Dylan Klebold's mother with the Columbine shooting, like, she had a lot of awareness, like, a lot of awareness. You know, and she talked a lot about wondering, like, what she did to contribute to that, and, you know, what was her part in that. And if you've never seen that TED Talks, you should watch it. It's super powerful. You know, a documentary I don't talk much about on here, but it greatly affected me. And please don't talk about the conspiracies about it underneath, because believe what you want to believe, but I don't believe in the conspiracies, and I think it's just so sad. But the documentary, I think it's on Netflix. I saw it on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on there or not, but about the Newtown, Connecticut shootings of that, like, first grade class. That documentary, I talked about it on here when I watched it, I think. But, like, that really affected me. You know, like I said, I'm not trying to, like, invite tons of negativity and just sadness into my life, but you want to talk about having some gratitude in your life and putting your life in perspective. The whole documentary pretty much centers around the father of this, I think, this little boy. It's been a while since I've seen it. And the mother of a little girl in the class. And they go and do, like, speaking things at different organizations and places. But it goes back and it talks about all of it. And there's, like, this one moment. I remember talking about it on this vlog. It's been a long time, though. There's this, because this part, like, so, like, just the way she said it, and just, it was like a teacher, I think, or it was a neighbor, and they were, like, all at, like, the junior high or something, and, like, the school had been locked down, and then once they, like, got the shooter, they, like, I remember it happening. I was, like, wrapping Christmas presents. Like, it's just so sad. And I remember it was just on like CNN nonstop. And, but this other parent, she said that they're like bringing in all of the students, like they're in a single file line and they're all holding hands. And it was just like how innocent they were. And some of them were singing, I think she said. And then all of a sudden you realized that there was like, and they were like standing like by, like first grade stood over here and second grade stood over here. And then you realized there was like a whole class missing. And, I think it was like the principal of the school. Like, she saw the shooter and he, like, raised the gun and she ran at him, like, to stop him from shooting, like. I have like a really hard time like understanding like cruelty of innocence. I don't understand that. Can you imagine like that? I think it was the principal, like, I mean, you talk about a hero. Showed like clips of like the choir concert from like the week before. That was like the hardest part to watch, like the Christmas, like not choir concert, but like the Christmas like little show that they put up, the classroom put on like the week before, a couple like 2 days before or something. And it's like this idyllic town. That's like what's so, like, you think you're safe, you know? It's like that shooting in that mosque. And I just don't understand some things. I just don't get it. I just don't get it, you know? So if you guys haven't seen that, you should see that documentary. It's pretty powerful. What a way to end the vlog, right? I have a friend of mine. I haven't seen her for a while, actually. She used to say to me, she was a musician. She wrote her own songs. They're fantastic. And she used to say to me, if I can't cry about it, then it means it didn't mean anything to me. I think there's some truth to that, you know? It's so weird because, like, I think if you, like, knew me now, like, since I've done the vlog and my YouTube, like, if you've known me since YouTube, I think people think like I'm this very extremely emotional, crying person, but you know, there was a really long period of my life that I just wasn't like that, and it was really, you know, coming back into the rooms of recovery and talking about my mom's death that like opened up the floodgates of emotion. And when I first came back, I was just so emotional. Like, I didn't really know how to contain it when I started talking about it because I had been numb for so long. And not just about that, but about so many things that had happened in my life that I had really, really never talked about or processed, you know? And, like my friend's suicide and breakups that I had had. And I just, you know, there was a lot. And, lot of sadness. And I think it all came out with my mom's grief. Like, I think I realized that I had grieved a lot of things in my life, you know? And it was really good for me. And then what happened was that my emotions were kind of like all over the place, you know? Like, there were no like middle of the road emotions. They were just all high and out of control, you know? Like, and then it kind of balanced out after I talked about it a lot, you know? The first year on this vlog was really cathartic for me too. Like, if you go back and you watch that first year, like, I talked so much about my mom that first year on here. I mean, I still tell stories about my mom, but nothing like I did that first year. I mean, I told so many stories about her. And I think in a way it was like a living memory for me, you know, to like, I don't know, I think it was like me paying honor to my mom and telling the stories and kind of reliving them out loud, because there's not a lot of people in my life today that like knew my mom and want to hear the stories, you know what I mean? So I was able to do it on here, and I think that was really good for me. And I felt in some way like I was keeping her, you know, memory alive. And I think now, you know, like, I cry when I'm, like, moved emotionally, and I'm happy about that. But even, like, my dad is like, you know, he's like, you just weren't a super emotional kid. Like, you didn't cry a lot. He's like, you never threw tantrums. He was like, you just weren't that kid, you know? But I think I was also very lonely. I don't remember being, like, sad in my childhood. You know, it's weird. Like at school, I remember I felt definitely an outsider and scared, maybe at times. But there were good times, too. Like, it wasn't all bad, you know? But, oh my God, you guys. One of my friends from high school reached out to me today that I haven't talked to in forever, and she says she watches this vlog every day, so you know who you are. I called her immediately back when I got her email. I have not seen her, I bet, since the summer I graduated from high school. We talked a little bit 2 years ago. Maybe it was less than that, I don't know. Like, this was like a really good friend of mine from high school. So, I called you, and then I emailed you back, so you need to call me, because we need to get together. And, I was reading through the comments, you know, today. I kind of read, like, when I post my vlog, I read, like, most of the comments from, like, the day before that I haven't read. And then, like, late at night before I go vlog, I usually read the comments that have been on there from, like, when I posted the vlog from that day, like, to the next, or, to, you know. Some of you guys on there are, like, I don't know, trying to give me a heart attack or something, because I'm saying that jokingly. I mean, some of the things that you say to me are just so unbelievably kind. You know, so many people are like, Peter, you got me through a really, really hard time, and you have no idea what your vlog means to me. There's so many comments like that, you guys. So many comments. And, it really means the world to me. It just really does. It makes me feel like, if I only ever got one comment from one person that said that I helped them through this vlog and never got another comment again, period, like, that would be enough. I would feel like, why is my windshield? I would feel like it had, you know, served some kind of purpose or had done something positive, you know? It's like when I decided to, I mean, I never thought I wouldn't share about being in recovery. I mean, it's just such a huge part of my life. Like, in my personal life, it's like, you think I talk a lot about it on here and stuff. Like, I mean, it's in everything I do. The camera was like fading out again. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna have to like figure out, like sit and look at it. It doesn't do it at home anymore. I fixed it, so I don't know. Maybe it's because it's like far away, or like when the light changes behind me or anything. But anyway, I mean, I talk about my recovery in everything I do. That's what I was talking about. And you know, like even just like going over to Alex's mom's house for dinner or something, she'll be like, oh, you know, like how are your meetings this week? And like, you know, how's Tanya? And how's your sponsor? You know, like they all ask. You know, Alex knows my sponsor real well, and so it was never something that I wasn't going to share on YouTube, I think. I guess, never thought, I mean, because I started with BookTube, you know, like, I know there was this idea that I had some grand plan when I started, how this was all going to evolve, but that's just really not the case. I mean, it just is not at all. Like, I had no idea that this would turn in. I had no idea when I started BookTube that it would turn into 3 years later being 5 channels. I just really had no idea. But I feel blessed that it did. I love it. I can't even imagine my life without it right now, you know? But I even talked on BookTube from an early point about being sober and being, you know, it's because it's just such a huge part of my life. But then when I started getting comments from people that would say like I literally get comments from people that are like, if you hadn't shared your story, I wouldn't have gone to treatment. Or I went back to meetings because, you know, I felt encouraged by what you said in meetings, and that people would not make me feel ashamed, and, you know, because you shared that you went back, and it's been the best thing that ever happened to me. Or, you know, I just get so many messages about sobriety and emails about sobriety and DMs and stuff, and it's like, that really was never my intention, you know, like, that, I just didn't think about it. I honestly didn't think that by me sharing my story, that I thought maybe other people in recovery would hear it and be like, oh, like, I connect with this guy because I'm sober too, you know? But I really, like, didn't think it through. I just didn't, you know? And, like, that has been one of the positives, like one of probably the top 3 positives of doing YouTube that I just totally didn't expect whatsoever. If not the number one, you know, the fact that by me sharing, and that's really what a 12-step program is all about. By me sharing my story, that means that maybe somebody else has a chance of sobriety, which to me means a chance for life. I don't take it lightly at all, you know, like, I don't really get any negative comments about sobriety anymore, but, you know, for a long time I would get a comment from somebody when they would say something like, oh, like, well, I got one like last week on a video, but it rarely happens anymore when somebody's like, somebody put clearly relapsed. I just think it's such an ignorant statement. Like, why would you ever say that to somebody? Like, in a million years, like, if anybody would say that to anybody that's in sobriety and talks openly about their recovery or questions it when they're not affected by it in any way whatsoever, to me, the way that I look at it is, you're really questioning somebody's life. And what you're saying is, I wish death on that person, because to an addict or an alcoholic, to go back to using could mean death. So I just block those people immediately because they're ignorant and I have no time for it. And, like, that's the one thing that to me is just like absolutely absurd, that anybody would even joke, or I've seen it with other YouTubers where they, like, you know, gossip about it and stuff. I'm like, okay, this is like, there are literally people dying every day from heroin overdoses and opioid overdoses. Like, this is not funny, okay? Like, this is not funny at all. I don't take this stuff lightly. I don't think anybody else should. I feel like everybody out there now has somebody in their small circle of family and friends that has been affected by addiction. And yes, it's because it's my life, but also because I just think it's ignorant. there's like a lot of things that, you know, I think since I've been on YouTube, like, that don't really have the same effect on me. Like comments about my voice or comments about me being gay, like, I was never insecure about being gay, but I was insecure about, you know, being made fun of for being effeminate or my voice or whatever, you know? Like, that doesn't bother me anymore, because whenever I say it, there's always people that are like, oh my God, but I love your voice or whatever. And I kind of have, like, learned to love my voice too. And, not kind of, like I have. Like, I mean, it's who I am, you know? Those comments don't bother me anymore. People that think that I lie and don't tell the truth, I don't really care about that anymore, you know? Like, I talked to my sponsor about that a long time ago, and she's like, so, like, if I called you a chair, would you start believing that you were a chair? And I'm like, no. And she's like, why not? And I'm like, because I know I'm not a chair. And she's like, then why do you feel like you need to defend yourself to lies that you know aren't true? And I was like, that's actually a good point. So, like, you know, it's, I'm just like, if you don't believe me, that's okay. That's fine. But the sober comments, and not just about me, but about other people, I don't even address, honestly. I just don't even address it. I'm just like, well, I guess right now I kind of am, but I just think there are, like, you know, there are some things we don't joke about. And, you know, it's kind of sad to me in this, like, you know, world that we live in today, that people think it's okay to joke about that. Like, go to a funeral of somebody that's passed away from addiction, whose whole family was rooting for them, you know? And they were so close, you know? Like, they were sober, and they had it, and they were excited about this new life that they had. And they went back out. Those are hard funerals to go to. I actually, you know what? Like, I haven't had to go to a funeral lately, thankfully, for a friend of mine in recovery that's passed away. Like, I haven't had to go to one. Which, I guess that's a blessing, you know? Uh-oh. I guess that means it's time to get off the vlog, right? That stupid Carrie Rollins book got me real deep thinking, see? I think in a way, you know, like, I will say this, that those comments about sobriety, I used to get them a lot, like really negative comments. People be like, oh, you're so hyped up, I can tell you're snorting cocaine, you know, whatever. And like, and it kind of like at first, like what was really scary about it is it didn't bother me. Like, it really didn't bother me at all. And I think that's the problem, was that I was so immune to just this kind of ridicule of it. You know, there's still a stigma that addicts and alcoholics have. There's a huge stigma. You know, it's why people don't get help, because they're afraid that once they go into treatment and they're labeled an alcoholic or an addict, you know, then people will look at them differently. And people do look at you differently. I mean, you know, I've been sober for 24 years. We are just now getting to a point where when you tell somebody that you're an addict or an alcoholic in recovery, they look at it as a strength. Trust me, we are just now getting to the point that people really understand it. And quite frankly, pop culture has really, really helped with that, because we're starting to see more celebrities and musicians get sober, and we're seeing, you know, the TV shows talk about it, and movies talk about it. And so we're starting to see it more mainstream. I mean, most TV shows these days have like somebody in recovery or struggling with addiction, you know? So it's like, we're seeing it more and more and more, but at the same time, it's rampant, it's everywhere. It's like, you know, we want to talk about world issues, but we don't really talk, enough about the opioid epidemic in this country as we, you know. It's like my friend Lori, whose sons both passed away from heroin overdoses. Both of her sons. Both. She had 2 sons. They were both gone. A year apart, they died from each other, you know? And she told me that we refer to it now as the United States of addiction. Like, that's scary. So, if by me sharing my story, or parts of it, like somebody said the other day, like they asked me some questions about like why you go to meetings for the rest of your life. And then I think it was the same person that came back and said, thank you for being so open and sharing this. I have no problem sharing that. I would rather educate somebody that comes and says, hey, I don't understand this. Can you educate me on this? Like, sure, I think that's awesome that somebody would ask that. Please do, you know? It's like the same people that come to me nicely that don't understand like a gay couple or something and say, can you explain it to me? Sure, come to me in a nice way and say it. I have no problem explaining things about my life in a nice way. But, you know, come at somebody in a nasty way, why would anybody want to, you know? And I think it's fantastic when people ask questions like, well, are there 12-step programs for friends and family members? Yes, Al-Anon, you know? Or, you know, like one of the questions I get a lot is, and maybe I'll do a whole vlog on this, is what can you do if a friend or a family member is an addict or an alcoholic and you want them to, you want to help them? Like, what do you do? I get that question a lot, you know? And, I have no problem sharing those stories about that. And if I only help one person out there, if it's like only one person is affected positively by me sharing my story, then what the hell do I have to lose by sharing my story? I am not afraid to share my story. And I'm proud of my story today, you know? There's a lot of things in my life I'm not proud of, but that's one thing I am proud of. So yeah. I'm tired. I gotta finish that book. It's stressing me out, I think. Not really, it's not, but I don't know. Today was a good day. I just like relaxed all day. It was so nice. Tomorrow I got a lot of stuff I gotta do. Okay, so true story. I got this cloth, right? And it's supposed to clean your windshield. My windshield is so dirty right now, you guys. Like, it literally is so dirty. And, like, just this area over here. And so, I've been, like, waiting to, like, do this review. So, I haven't used it. I haven't cleaned my windshield yet because I've been waiting to do this review. And I wanted to do it with Tanya. And she can never do it when I want to do it. So, I have this like dirty area over. It's so gross. I just need to use it and then say, yeah, it works really well. I used it, or say, no, it sucks. And just clean my windshield. Does anybody have tricks for cleaning your windshield? Like, what is like the greatest trick to cleaning your windshield? Does anybody know? Like, what's like the #1 thing? I heard newspaper. But I just know that I'll screw it up and then my windshield will be like black from the newspaper print. I never do anything right, like the way you're supposed to. Like, I always do it wrong. It's always off the way that I do it. I can read something and like do it exactly like it says. Is anybody else out there like me, like an idiot? Like you, like some hints for Eloise that says like, oh, clean this and do this, and then you do it and you're like, okay, it totally doesn't work for me. It's like, I cannot tell you how many people swear by that magic eraser thing. That magic eraser thing does not work for me, like, at all. I have bought it so many times. I don't know how many times. I think that magic eraser thing is junk. I don't think it works. People are like, oh, it just cleans your shower and makes it brand. I'm like, what? No, it totally does not. It doesn't at all. I don't feel like that. I don't think it's anything but an overpriced sponge, and you cannot convince me otherwise. I'm telling you, you cannot convince me otherwise on a magic, what's a magic eraser? I think it's junk. Look at me get heated about the magic eraser. I will say that the stuff that works the best, though, is that greeny stuff, or green something. I can't remember what it's called. That you, like, the cleaner. Like, you can get that stuff at Dollar General, too. Oh, and what is this? There's this other stuff there that my friend that was a housekeeper used to use. What's that stuff called? You can only get it at like Dollar Tree or Dollar General or whatever, which is good because cleaning supplies are expensive. Yeah, don't get that magic eraser. I know somebody underneath her is typing, I love the magic eraser. Oh my God, I swear by the magic eraser. Well, you're doing something different with it than I am, because it does not work for me. But I am gonna do the windshield because I need to clean it, because it's like this part up here. And then it's fine. So anyway, I'm gonna get off here now, you guys, and I'm gonna go, I've got about 10 more minutes till I'm home. I'm gonna listen to the rest of my, well, not the rest, but 10 more minutes of this amazing book. It's not horrible. I mean, it's just not a 4-star. It's not a 4-star. But anyway, I'm gonna get off here, and I love you guys. I hope you're having an amazing day, unless you have other plans, and if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. If nobody else has told you this week, I love you. And go tell somebody else that, because I think we all need to hear that, right? I do. Reach out to somebody that you haven't talked to in a while and say, hey, I miss you, because it was really nice hearing from my friend today. Like, kind of made my day. Anyway, all right, you guys, I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.